right, we are officially live and it's been so long. I really, really missed you all. So we are going to have a Q&A session and I've been getting a lot of questions on this channel and also in my group that's on Instagram. So let me actually pull up my questions while I let you all get into the room. If you are new here, if you're seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Ayana. I'm a licensed massage therapist, esthetician, and spa owner. And I've been self employed since 2020, full time. And this channel is all about helping you build and grow your massage business, your spa business, and really help you be the professional that you want to be. So, on this channel, I like to share a lot of tips. I like to share a lot of things that I've learned from, a lot of life experiences. And I try to make it easy to digest. And I also try to make it fun as well. So, today I'm going to be answering some questions. And towards the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about just what's been going on in the business, kind of a chit chat with you all, depending on just where the conversation goes. And I'm also going to be sharing some things that I've been working on and how you can be involved in some of the different ways that I'm helping spa owners right now. So, if you are coming in here, please let me know where you're watching from. A lot of you know how this used to go, especially when we used to go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hi, welcome in, Harmony. Yes. So yeah, definitely share where you're watching from. And we'll kind of be getting into some of the questions. A lot of the questions, again, are going to be coming from the group that I have on Instagram. If you're not a part of that group, I highly, highly recommend that you join. I will put the link to it down below at the end of this video. If you're watching the replay, it should already be there. But either way, you just have to find me on Instagram and you should see it there. And in that group, it's a free group, and I share a lot of my metrics, I share my numbers. When we make those $10,000 months, I share that in the group, I share the breakdown. If you're in the group, go ahead and represent and share what you're getting out of it. I'm seeing Pennsylvania, I'm seeing Trinidad. That's amazing. And I try to just share a lot of behind the scenes. So even when I'm about to do meetings with my team members, I share kind of like the agendas. I share a lot of behind the scenes stuff there on Instagram. Another place where you can find me is on TikTok. I share pretty much every single day on TikTok, and it's been really interesting. I'm still learning that platform. But where my heart is really at is here on YouTube. And I really appreciate all the kind comments that you all are leaving here on YouTube. And even just now, I did have a video filming session. So you should expect some new videos coming out soon. But one thing that I have considered, and y'all let me know what you think about this, is what if the video every single week was just us going live just like this? And what if we did it pretty much every single week at the same time? I go through what I really want y'all to learn for that week and what I want you to implement for that week, and really make it thorough, really make it to where you are getting the most out of this channel and out of this free information. So that's something I'm considering because it will hold me accountable to, first of all, filming, because I admit that when I film, there's just a lot going on, from not having space on my phone, not having space on the computer, SD cards. Just the whole setup is a little bit much for me right now, where I'm at. Okay, so I'm pulling up some of the questions, and those questions are going to take the priority here. And but also feel free to put your questions below too. Let's see. So I'm just pulling this up. Let's find my FAQ, and then I'm going to open up that group and go through some of those FAQs. Q&A. Okay. All right, so let me pull this up here. So Bodyworks by Sika and also Ronnie Washington asked about ways to fund your massage business. And if any of these questions are things that you're actually interested in, I'd love to see you write that down below as well. But yeah, so let's talk about it. So there are a couple ways that you can fund your massage business. Now, I've been pretty transparent on this channel by mentioning that I've never had any investors invest in my business. I'm me. It's me. I'm the investor. I'm the one who, sometimes I'll re-put funds into the business. And there's a certain way that that's called, like on your financial statements. I'm not a financial advisor by any means. But there are a couple ways, and there are a couple ways that I've seen my clients and my students get funding as well. The main way that I've always taught is by getting business credit and business like revolving credit as well. And the best way to get started with business credit is by, of course, incorporating your business. So making sure that you have your LLC. I'm really considering going live on Instagram right now too. But making sure that you have your LLC. And then also making sure that you are able to get that EIN number, because that EIN number, it works like a social security number, but for your business. And that's important because that's the number that every single company, entity that is giving this funding is going to want to have. Especially if they don't have any personal guarantees, which means if you don't pay this funding back, then it's on the business and not on your personal whatever, your personal social security, all that stuff. So that's one of the benefits of kind of going the business credit route. I will mention with business credit, it doesn't quite work like traditional funding, where with traditional funding, they will give you a lump sum and you're usually paying to finance that lump sum. So you're usually paying some type of loan fee. And there are different versions of traditional funding. There is point of sale funding. If you use something like Square has their own funding tools. If you use any type of payment processor, more than likely they are going to have some type of funding opportunity. And how that works is that you pay it back based on your sales or based on you doing transactions through your point of sale. So it's an expensive option because you're already paying processing fees and then you're paying it back through just whatever percentage you agreed to through your sales. So you're not seeing your full sales. And in fact, you might have to adjust your prices if you go that route. So that's another route that you can use to fund your business. Absolutely nothing wrong with that as long as you're aware of all the terms and you know how expensive that financing is. Now, some best practices, and I have some notes here too. Some best practices when it comes to any type of funding is that you know what you're using it for and that you expect that there's going to be a return on that funding. So, when it comes to business credit, some places where I've gotten business credit and some starter places that are really, really easy to get approved through is, for example, Amazon Business. Amazon has their own business uh, business version of their website where you can get discounted pricing, especially on bulk items that you're expected to buy, like cleaning supplies and things like that. But if you're first starting out, it's always great if you can get your supplies, like the supplies that you use for your services through business funding via like Amazon or even credit cards that you can get through the bank that you have your business at or credit union. So, but the thing about business credit is that it'll be on terms. So usually net 30, next net 60, I've seen net 90, and you're paying it back within that amount of time. So you really got to be organized when it comes to that, and just account for that too. So, for example, if you wanted to start doing like hot stone massage, but maybe you don't have a whole lot of funds right now, perhaps you will go ahead and use some type of business credit, purchase the supplies, market the services. Now you're doing those services, you're able to pay whoever back. So that is the method that I like to teach. I do have a like short training. It's not really short, it's like 3 hours altogether, but a training that kind of goes through that. And you can find that on my website too. So that is my thoughts about business funding. Those are some ways. And then there's the true traditional way, which is you're going through your bank or a bank or credit union and you're getting an SBA loan. The only thing about SBA loans, and I'm not an expert, I'm not a financial advisor, is that oftentimes they do recommend that you have some type of, I'm blanking on the word, but some type of guarantee. So that could be your home, that could be the equity in your home, it could be like just anything that you own, and that is going to be collateral. That's the word I'm looking for that loan. So it's a little bit riskier. And you just want to look at those rates too, and perhaps even consult with a financial advisor or an SBA expert. Sometimes there are local chapters of the SBA, and they will have consultants who will work with you for free. I know where I live, they have those consultants. I've worked with these consultants before. I have videos of me showing like what we used to talk about in those meetings. I believe they're called business development consultants. And sometimes you can go through the SBA, your local chapter, to talk to them about how that works. And usually they're going to make sure that your business is sound, make sure that you have a business plan, and help you do your projections, all that stuff. So that's worth it. And then you can also find consultants who do this all day, every day, helping people who to get funding, and you can hire them to basically create all the documents that you need to get funding. So that's my spiel about it. It could probably be its own video, but I do want to get to some of these other questions. And I do see some questions in the chat. Feel free to put them in the chat. I will get to them when I get through these, and we'll try our best to get to all of them. Okay. Sid Therapy says, photographic content. What have been your most engaging images? That is a good question. And it's kind of hard to say because how can you tell what is your most engaging image? Maybe it could be like the metrics on your social media, but how do you know it was the image that grabbed their attention and not the caption or this or that? But I find that it's really not images that are the most engaging. I find that videos are very compelling when it comes to social media, landing pages on websites, and any type of marketing. Now, when it comes to print marketing, that's where photographic content could come to play. But I would say anything that's well lit, anything that is clear, anything that has a lot of harmony in the colors and the fonts, it's not cluttered and it doesn't look DIY, if you know what I mean. So those types of images can do well, and especially images that demonstrate what it is that you're marketing. And in your case, it's probably some type of massage therapy. So those are some of the images that I think do very, very well. But you really want to focus on that video content. Okay. Any tip, or Ali Jachamp asks, how any tips on how to start advertising myself in social media? Yes. Yes. So I've made some videos about this subject itself. What I would recommend is first getting clear on what type of services you want to advertise. So, do you want to advertise just your business as a whole, or do you want to advertise a specific service? So, get really clear on that because that's going to let you know what type of content you're going to create. If you're a small business, I always encourage small business owners to share their face, to share their story, to share their why, to share their mission, because that can really help clients connect with you. And it shows you that you're a real business, that you're, reputable, you're not just a random social media business. So that's always recommended as well. I have a student who does this really well. Let me find her Instagram because she's really good at sharing her story and she's good at sharing her mission, which I know it can kind of be hard to do it at first, but it's always worth it. Let me see here. Oh, I have to relog in. Oh, well, I'll just say her name. Her name is Miki. So it might be Miki Wellness, but I don't remember the exact name. But yeah, so you want to share your story. That can do very well. And then another thing that can really take the load off of like trying to figure out what to post is to get some really good templates. Google social media templates that resonate with you. I also have social media templates that are specific to massage therapy, the spa world, um, estheticians. And that will also be down in the description as well. And it's done for you. So all you have to do is change the letters. All you have to do is change the images, add your own videos. You could potentially use stock videos, but I don't recommend it. But all in all, I would just be clear on what you're advertising and think about your social media as being a storefront. So, a lot of the clients that I've been grateful to have, sometimes when they find me on social media, they'll tell me that they chose us over a competitor because we had more information or we seem to know more about what we're talking about. So, don't skimp when it comes to educating your clients in the captions and also in the content itself because that can really help clients make a decision about choosing you versus choosing someone else. Okay. So let me see what our next question is. Okay. How to incorporate insurance billing into your business correctly. And this is from, and I'm going to butcher the name, but Soma Skin and Massage. Okay. So when it comes to insurance billing for your business, honestly, I don't fool with insurance billing, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what I do instead. So the reason why I don't fool with direct billing, although it can be very convenient for the client, and I'm all about client convenience, it can take a very long time to get paid by these insurance companies. So essentially, what happens is you bill to the insurance companies, and now it's up to the insurance company to pay you for services that you already did. So until they do that, you just did some free services. And I do like that when you go that route, it makes it even more accessible to the client. But what I do instead as a small business owner is I offer documentation that will help the client get reimbursed for services rendered. So what happens is I create the documents, I know the codes, I know how to put it together and I will send it to the client based on services rendered. Sometimes it'll be one at a time or sometimes it'll be for let's say a week of services or 2 weeks or for a month, whatever. And I also have to ask them if their insurance company accepts a particular type of code because not all insurance companies will cover massage or certain types of services. So we get that out the way, and then I will give them the documentation that proves, and it has the codes, and it has pretty much everything to show that this is a legitimate business, and um, show the services rendered, how much it cost, how much they paid, and showed that they paid. And then I give it to them, and then they get paid through their insurance. This way, we get paid up front. We don't have to wait on an insurance company to pay us. And that's what I typically teach my students to do, so that they're not having to spend the extra time fighting with these insurance companies. Not everyone is going to agree with that approach, but that's what I've been doing really for the past 4 years. And my clients don't really seem to mind it. In fact, a lot of businesses are doing that because they don't want to wait on these insurance companies to pay them, if they pay them. So that is how we do that. But there are also classes that you can take that will teach you how to do direct billing if that's something that you desire to do. Let's see. Vera Wellness asks, planning content for your massage business and branding. Yes. So when it comes to, so I'm seeing a lot of content questions. When it comes to creating content for your massage business, it can be really helpful if, again, you're very clear on what it is that you offer and what it is that you want to advertise. So that's super helpful. You know what your colors are. You have a branding kit, and you can actually create one just through Canva. They have a lot of great templates where you can choose the different hex codes. You can also use a website called coolors.com, Coolors, and that's the one that I recommend. And I also put that website on I have a freebie called the Spa Audit List, and it's also there, and it goes under like how you're going to do your client branding. And so just being very clear on what your colors are, what your brand is, what it represents, making sure that your colors match what brand you're going for. So let's say you work with, a lot of women, maybe you do prenatal massage. Maybe it's helpful if your branding matches that, and perhaps maybe it's more feminine or caters to more moms, whatever the case may be. So there's that. And when it comes to planning content, I always recommend 3 types of content. You don't have to do the most. Some type of testimonial content. So for us, we just do screenshots of our Google reviews. Sometimes we'll make it a little bit fancy, but that's really all it is. We will also do service demonstrations. So it shows what we do in the services. So it might be little clips. It might even have some education in the caption about why we do it and what are the benefits. So essentially, what will you receive when you get this type of service? And another type of content that we really like, of course, before and afters, anything that shows some type of transformation. Really, if you have those 3 things, and then perhaps some photos that show who you are and what your story is, what your mission is, you will be fine. You will be doing more than what most people are doing. Even if you go to like the really big name spas, the franchise spas, and you look at their social media, it's it's really not all that. If you really, really look at it, it's very like bare minimum. But what I find is most compelling is if you can use more videos, if you can use more testimonials. And what I've been liking to do lately is using content from other content creators. So if you have local influencers in your area, you can potentially say, hey, I'll give you, services for free if you can make a content piece about your experience with us. And so that is something that I hope to touch on more in the future, what that looks like. So we've done that a few times this year, and that's been really, really fun. Okay. So, so I do want to answer this question that's in the other chat here on YouTube. It says, how many clients do you massage a day and how many days do you work a week? So me myself, I do not work as many days as I used to. So when I was like full time in the business, I was probably working like 3 to 4 days a week, and my max a day is no more than 4 sessions. There have been times where I've done 5, but I don't recommend it. So I'll do 4 sessions. Usually there's like 30 minutes in between, working sometimes 3 to 4 days a week. Now I work either 0 days a week or I work twice a week. And I have staff members who are here doing the services. So I still have some clients that I see on a regular basis who only want to go to me, which I totally understand. But lately, I've been closing off my schedule so that my other team members can get booked. And it really does help. So I do have one team member. She's here pretty much full time, or what you would consider full time for a service provider, Monday through Friday. And she covers a lot of kind of like the mornings and some of the afternoon. And because I've closed off my schedule, it helps her get booked more frequently. So I no longer do like the facials or some of the other services that even my other esthetician could do. And so for the evenings, I have someone covering the evenings. So they may work 3 days a week between the hours of, it kind of overlaps. So like 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., of course, with breaks in between and time to clean up in between. And that's how we do that. And the reason for that is because I am in school right now. I'm expanding my scope of practice. I'm in nursing school, and I just don't have the time doing a lot of things right now. But after that's over with, which it will be over with very, very soon, I'm literally counting down the days. As of right now, I have 56 days left of school. But after that's done, and I do a little bit of traveling, I will probably be back here 4 days a week. But I'm not going to be doing all services. I'm going to be mostly managing because I'm also the manager here. Um, which I hope to change by the end of the year. Now I'm kind of going into some of the chit chat stuff, but I hope to hire a manager by the end of the year because managing is hard. It's doable, but it's very hard and it requires a lot of attention. Yes. So right now we have 3 service providers, one front desk staff, and I'm looking to hire 2 more service providers for mobile because only one of those service providers does mobile services, and that's really important for our business. Okay. Yes. But when it was just me, or even when I was just mobile, yeah, I did a lot more services, and sometimes I miss it, but it is very hard on the body. And one of my biggest goals is to own the business, not necessarily manage the business or work in the business. Part of me does want to work in the business because there are services that I'm extremely passionate about and I love doing, but I have to think long term and I have to think scalable. And I have a family. So, yeah. So that's my goal and that's what I teach other people to do as well. I'm going to go to a few more questions that are here, and then we're going to kind of move into the chit chat portion because I know my computer is going to die. My computer, like the charger, is connected to this camera up here. I guess I could go switch to the other camera so I can charge it so we can stay on longer because I've missed you all so so much. Um, Let me see. Even though I really like the quality of this camera. But you know what? Let me go ahead and switch my camera real quick. Give me one moment. I do see some more questions and I definitely want to get to them. So let me stop the camera. And now we'll start the camera. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's keep going. I'll do a couple more from some of these questions are from last year. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Someone said, "Why is someone even talking during massage?" Um, Sometimes people talk during massages. I think that's fine. Let's see. Okay, so I want to explain this comment. It's not even it's a question, but it's kind of a comment. So there's one comment from Massage is Life International 5835, and it looks like a comment on that video that I did that showed you how to make $3,000 a day. And they said 3,000 is a slow day. And the reason why I call it a slow day, it's not about the money that was made. The reason why I call it a slow day is because for that particular day, if I remember the vlog that it was, we made that, but we only made that with about, I want to say 3 clients. It was less than 5 clients for that day. Could have been less than that. And so the reason why I said it was slow is because of the client volume, which means we only impacted a certain number of clients, which we're always, always grateful for. But I want to impact more people. I want to help more people. So that is why I refer to it as a small day. I was not referring to the income. And what was made there on that vlog, some of it was deposit, but the other was packages. And I believe it was only 3 sales. And that happens a lot in my business model where we work with a handful of clients for the day or sometimes even for the week, but a lot of the income that comes in ends up being packages, memberships, products. So we don't have to rely on just the one-to-one services. So that's another thing that I teach people to do so that you're not reliant on just one type of income. It's always great if you can have different ways that your massage business can make income. Let's see. I'm trying to answer questions that I don't already have videos on. So I do have videos on your spa menu. Um, Someone asked how much did massage school cost? So when I went at the time, that was back in 2016. Uh, at that time, I got financial aid, and financial aid covered it. And I got some back, which was great at that time, and it covered all my supplies, covered my tuition, but I believe the tuition altogether was about $6,000, and I wanna say that was including my supplies, and it was the best investment I've just ever. It was the best it changed my life. It was really the best investment. Okay, a few more here, and then I'm gonna come back to this other chat. Let's see. I do have a video on how to create your website, and that's here free on YouTube. Let's see. Yes, so someone asked, "How did I become a coach? I admire you so much. Everything you produce for free on YouTube is so valuable. I can only imagine your coaching calls, but I'm curious or nosy as to how. Was this just one thing that led to another or strategy?" And this is from Live Weight Loss Support on YouTube. So it really started, I believe that was 2021. That was the year I gave birth because I knew I wanted to make sure just in case the massage business slowed down. So when I was in maternity leave, I had a team of 4 at that time, and that kept the business going. But 2020 really showed me that you cannot just have one business. You gotta have multiple if you're able to, or have different directions of it. And during that time, I was really active on YouTube, just kind of showing a lot of vlogs and stuff. And I had a very small following. I still do have what I would consider a small following on YouTube. Probably like only 2,000 subscribers, 3,000. I was not monetized by any means. And I started getting comments from people asking me to like do coaching or to do like one-on-one with them or to like share more details about certain things. I even had people like reach out to me on Instagram asking about courses. And at first I had a lot of imposter syndrome about it because I just thought, I'm just a person who figured something out. I'm sharing this stuff on YouTube. I heard that it's always great to have a YouTube channel and I wanted to do it for a while. I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I thought, business coaches don't really look like me. They, I mean, at least with my limited view of the world at that time, they don't have, long locks and, they're, young and all this stuff. And so I had a lot of imposter syndrome. And then plus the word coach at that time was getting a bad rep from people who were taking advantage of other people online. And so I wasn't sure about it at first. But I took a chance and I launched a cohort. I did take a program to learn how to, number one, be a good coach and to create programs and all that stuff. So I invested in that. I invested in myself and invested in the business, made that return with my first cohort. I created SpaBizSuccess, and this by no means me trying to plug it. But I think the transparency is good, and I created the first cohort of it. 6 students who I still try to stay connected with, and they've gone on to do amazing, incredible things. And yeah, and so it kinda just went off from there and just started seeing an interest. So really, it was just people seemed to be interested, and I try to take all the frequently asked questions and, like, everything I've learned in my journey, put it in one thing, share it with other people, make sure that I got results because I did not wanna promote it if I couldn't get people results, and I needed to learn, like, communication skills and, like, further my communication skills, learn how other people learn and how they take in information and utilize that. So that kind of started the whole consulting and coaching thing. So if that's something that you're interested in, which you can do that as a massage therapist, like you know a lot about wellness, you know a lot about whatever modality that you're doing, you can find a way to turn that into coaching or turn that into a retreat or turn that into a book and or a blog or a channel, and that in itself could be another stream of income because I do talk about on this channel that just having one-to-one services, that's not sustainable. You want to be able to scale if you can in a way that is sustainable for you. Because some people scale, but they're not happy. And some people scale and they're not well, like mentally or physically or spiritually. So that's something to keep in mind too. Um, Okay. Billy said, I'm trying to get out of massage therapy. I own my own business, but they are die hard. I'm not seeing anyone else people. How do you hire and keep them busy? I'm not sure what you mean by die hard. However, um okay, so when it comes to hiring, especially other providers, what you want to do first is have a good understanding of all the things that you do in your business right now. You want to have a very firm understanding of like step by step how you interact with your clients. What are the standards? Um, we create standard operating procedures literally for everything. And I'm talking how we answer the phones, how we set appointments, all that stuff. What happens after we're done with the session. And you want to make sure that you're documenting those things. How do you clean the table? How do you sanitize in between? What are your services? What are the step by step of how to complete those services? Have that for yourself first, be disciplined for yourself for that. And when you have that, it's going to make hiring so much easier because now you've created essentially your handbook for how you're going to train your providers. I used to recommend contractors. That's how I started. I started with hiring contractors because it was easy. It was, a simple contract, and, there wasn't a whole lot of paperwork. But now what I've been recommending is going the employee route because you have a lot more, and I know how this is going to sound, but you have a lot more control on how they represent your business. When you have contractors, they are technically business owners coming into your business, and there's a lot of risk with that. When you have employees, it's a lot more expensive, but it's worth it because they're going to represent your brand so much more. But I know your question is more about like, how do you hire? So, I mean, it would start with a job listing. One of the most popular engines right now is Indeed. You could start there. You can also go to the massage schools in your area, let them know that you have a job listing, figure out who are the instructors there, make it clear that when they have graduates, send them your way because you're a reputable business in the area and you are hiring providers, and you have all the training available for them, and it's a great place to work. So really create the culture of your company now as like a solo business owner. Like create that foundation for yourself now, which I know is hard because you're the only person working in the business. And perhaps you could always start with hiring a virtual assistant first. So even in the early days of my business, I hired a virtual assistant. They helped with answering the phones when I couldn't do it. They helped with a lot, especially when I was on that maternity leave. Um, and also kind of communicating with other team members. I do have a video here on YouTube about how to hire. And of course, I go into a lot more depth of like all the things I use, all that stuff that's in SpaBizSuccess. But yeah, I think that is a good place to start. You also asked, how do I keep them busy? So I mentioned earlier how I took myself off of the schedule to allow them time to get booked, and it has helped. So I mentioned before that I have a provider who's about 90% booked. I keep track of how often they're booked, and I make it clear to the front desk that we need to fill these spots. So y'all need to figure out how to fill these spots, and we do that through marketing, through word of mouth, through Google, a lot of different ways. Um, and another thing that we do to keep them busy is just making sure that, like, I have in the type of business that I have, some clients don't mind, like, seeing another provider because they need the service more than they need to see a particular person because we do a particular type of service. Um, so those are some places where you can start for sure. Oh, I see. So die hard means no one else but you. In that case, I mean, you may have to set some boundaries if you decide how often you want to work. So if you're working too much, then you can let them know what your new hours are. And that can be helpful. That can be a start. Um, I've seen some students of mine, they'll take a vacation, and when they come back, their hours have changed. And it's tough because sometimes you might lose clients. Like I lost clients when I went on maternity leave, and it happens. It happens. But, there's so many different transitions that happens when you own your business. But yeah, I would like have you kind of like lower your utilization of like your time first. I always say it's always best to hire when you're at like 50% booked or 40% booked. But when you're really booked, it can be very difficult. And you're so welcome. Yes. Let's see here. Yes. So Miss Araya said, "Do you have videos on starting social marketing and online search engine formation? Where do I start? I need clientele. The hard part is getting out my own shell to network." Yes. So there's so many different channels for marketing. You mentioned social media, you mentioned online search engines. You mentioned, um, you mentioned networking. And so what I would recommend is just starting with one channel at first. So for us, our main channel that we went all in on was Google. Y'all know this. Y'all have heard me say it so many times. So it was Google, and we went all in on learning that platform and learning like what is best practices for that platform, how we can use it to our advantage. One thing I learned is that if you post pictures on there more often and you share updates on Google, just like any other social media site, it will push you out even more versus competitors who are closer to your clients, which is really, really great. Um, I do have videos on social media marketing though. So you definitely want to check that out. I have videos on how to automate your social media. What are the main content pieces that you want to prioritize? And I also have social media templates that I sell that you just like put your pictures, you put your videos, you change the words. There's guidance on what type of words to use to encourage people to book with you, and where to put your call to actions. Even if you didn't use my templates, there's plenty of templates out there that make it so, so easy. And you do want to be consistent. Oh, what's interesting. I'm glad that this question came up. Recently, so I just said that you want to focus on one, but then you want to move to the next one. So around, let's say 2020 to 2022, we focused solely on Google. Okay, we mastered that. Um, that's still our number one platform. In 2023, I got more into Instagram. Instagram is something that we've learned to be more consistent on now, and I do get help with this. So, for example, my front desk associate, she knows social media. She does that for us. I know some social media. I put some stuff out there. We do content days to get content where we bring in models who have paid a small price to get services, but we videotape all that stuff that I've talked about before. So, okay, Google check, Instagram check, YouTube kind of. I don't really use this to get clients, but some clients do find my demonstration videos and then they'll be in the same city and they'll book with us. But recently, I've been getting into TikTok, and I told y'all I'm on TikTok every single day because on TikTok, that's a whole another breed. All you have to do is like videotape yourself for a couple seconds, saying whatever thoughts come to your mind, showcasing the things that you do, like motivating other people. Like it's a very interesting platform. And recently I got some DMs asking me, if I'm located where I'm located. I'm like, yes. And they're interested in lymphatic massage. They went and had surgery, all that stuff. So that is another platform where it looks like people are finding us. Even recently, I had a client who came here and said that they were doing a lot of research on the type of work that we do. And in that research, in Googling, they found our YouTube channel. And on the YouTube channel, there are demonstrations of me talking through some of my techniques and some of my like protocols, not in depth because you do need to get training for that. But they said that they already saw like what they would expect in the session ahead of time. And that let me know, okay, so they're using this as social proof to show that this is a reputable business, that we exist, and that is helping them make their purchasing decisions, which I think is really great. So I would just say start small, start with one platform, go in on that platform, learning that platform, even if you have to watch YouTube videos, take some courses, whatever, or really just get experience with it. Oftentimes, you might be able to teach yourself, study other people. Go in with it. And when you see that it's getting you results, when your clients start saying, oh, I found you on Instagram, and that's the main place that they find you, then it might be time to master the next place. But I do have videos on that as well. Wow, we're reaching India right now. That's amazing. Okay, so I see a question that says, how to tackle fear of employees who stole our client. So this has happened to me before when I had contractors where I hired someone, I trained them, and during that time, I was a little bit too generous. I was doing paid training for contractors, which you're really not supposed to do because they're contractors. Well, you don't have to do that, but I was paying them to learn from me because I wanted to double make sure they were doing the services correctly. Really, that was starting to get into employee territory, so that's why I only do employees now. But anyways, I did that. I even paid for the supplies. You're really not supposed to do that. So well, reimburse for supplies, I should say. Which if you have a contract, you can do that. That's fine. And then I found out that they were starting to rent a room and that they were gonna be taking, clients there. Little did they know that I knew the owners at the place where they were going to be renting a room. And one of my clients also told me that they told them to come to whatever that room that they rented. So this has happened to me before. And of course, they were fired immediately. That contract was terminated immediately. And it's very possible that they took what they learned and they could still be doing services like that. But it shows a lack of integrity. But I would say don't fear it, just adapt and change. Everything in your business, whatever mistakes that you're making, and I feel like this channel is like a diary of that. Any mistake that you make, because I have to take full accountability for that. There is a kind of a business, I guess you could say teaching or like a business principle where it's really important, especially as an owner, that you take full responsibility for everything that happens in your business. It is so important. You can't blame it on anyone else. So I take responsibility for that because perhaps I did not vet this person clearly enough. I could have been desperate at that time to get someone to cover this availability, which I could totally see that happening, especially during that time in the business. And so I take responsibility. I try to assess how I made this mistake. I try to not be in a desperate position when I hire so that I can really take my time. And I will make sure that the contract is explicitly clear. So in that contract, it said, if you are taking clients, then litigiously, I don't know if that's a word, but we are entitled to that, all the compensation that you were able to gain from taking that clientele. So you owe some money, essentially. So you can have different clauses. You want to have like someone draw up your agreement. Make sure your agreements are clear, and I would just say switch to employees because employees are not going to do that. You can have certain things in place that say that they're not going to solicit your clients because it's unprofessional and it shows a lack of integrity. Yes. So I have videos on this channel. However, I do have that's actually the last module in SpaBizSuccess is how to train and onboard and all the systems I use to train and onboard. So I have a course that's specific to it. I'm not sure about general courses about training and hiring employees, but I'm sure there are plenty on that subject. And I would even challenge you to reflect on when you've been an employee somewhere to think about the onboarding processes that you went through, the type of person that you are, and try to hire people who are somewhat similar to you or have a similar mindset to you and try to replicate some of the onboarding processes that you've enjoyed as an employee. And that can help too. Welcome for those of you who are joining. We're gonna be transitioning out of the Q&A portion soon because we wanna chit chat and hang out because 'cause it's been a while and I've missed you all, and there's just so much we've gotta talk about. Let's see. I'm seeing Okay, so I see another question that says, I'm a contractor, or I'm not sure if this is a question, but it says, I'm a contractor and I also have a mobile business. The person that hired knew this and they have referred clients to me. However, I have had clients tell me that they prefer to see me. Well, I would review whatever contract that you have because if they're referring clients to you, I don't know if you mean to your business or if you're a contractor at a company and you're getting business through them. Um, okay, so let's demystify this real quick. So, if you are a contractor, what I recommend that you do is whatever income that is coming in as being a contractor at that company, you need to deposit that into your business income. So as a contractor, and this is not financial advice, but as a contractor, you are your own business. So that means you could be Q9 Q89 LLC and you signed a contract as Q9 LLC with this company and you can essentially like whatever they're paying you, if they're writing you checks or it's direct deposit, that needs to go into your business and that ends up being business income. I'm not sure. So fair pay depends on what you feel like is fair. So if you feel like it's unfair, then it's unfair pay. It would be kind of overstepping if I told you what was fair, but I think that you can consider um what they're doing to get you clients. So if they're doing the marketing, if they're doing the booking, if they're doing like the back end, if they got a front desk, if they got the table set up when you get there, if they provide the sheets, if they provide like all this stuff, then they likely are going to take a bigger chunk. If they're not providing anything and it's just you show up as yourself with your own stuff, then and you have business expenses that, as a contractor, like then you're likely going to get a little bit more. But just know that contracts can be renegotiated. I'll tell y'all a quick story about when I was a contractor. So I had start when I started my business, the spa that I worked at, it closed down. But at some point I did go back to that spa for a short period of time. And when I did that, I decided now that I have this business that's active and it's really taking off now, I'm going to put that income into my business. And so showing whatever I made at that spa, even before the pandemic, before I had my business, being able to include that into my other into being able to include that into my business income allow me to purchase my home. So just be really smart about like if you are a contractor, make the most out of it. Really make the most out of it. And I am trying to figure out a good time and date. I just have to set it up because my CPA did agree to like do a training for my audience and all that stuff. Trying to figure out how to like set that up, where we want to do it, all that stuff. Um, so hopefully I'll have that training out for you all soon. Hopefully I can do that soon. Oh, hi Selena. Oh, thank you so much. She said, "Take Ayana's MLD class. So good. I really appreciate that. It's so lovely seeing you pop in. I love seeing people that I've met virtually pop in. All right, catch the replay. Thanks for popping in. All right. Let's see. Um, Mm. So, like I said before, I can't tell you what is fair. I don't know your bills. I don't know your life. I don't know like what they're providing for you as the company and like what all that costs. Um, my brain has always been wired to look at certain numbers, look at the back end of certain things. So if you notice that they're not doing the marketing and all that stuff and you're having to do a lot at that company, then it might be time to reconsider your contract. So it's really up to you. If you feel like something is not fair, again, it probably is not fair for sure. I do see a question from Amber. Amber, where are you watching from? And this question says, starting out as an LMT, how many hours should you work a week to not burn out? Yes. So everyone's different. Everyone has so the way I see it is that massage therapists, we are athletes, and athletes have different stamina, different builds, all that stuff. When I first started out, so I'll speak for my own experience. When I first started out, I went back to the spa that I was front desk at previously before I went to massage school. So I was front desk for a while, doing sales, all that stuff. Left that job, went to massage school, came back as a massage therapist a year later. And when I first started, I was working about 35 hours a week, which is actually kind of crazy. Like, I'm trying to remember exactly, like, um, but that's considered a lot for a massage therapist. So full time for those of you who are new, to massage therapy, full time in most places is about 28 hours. And I hope I'm not exaggerating when I say 38. I could be wrong because that was a long time ago. And I knew massage therapists who were doing much more than that. They were doing like 38 or they were doing 40 hours a week, which is like, in my personal opinion, way too much for that type of physical labor. But I will say that you will learn your limits. And I definitely was starting to burn out. I was definitely starting to burn out, especially when I got a second job at a chiropractic office. And I wasn't doing as much strenuous work. In fact, the sessions would be about 15 to 20 minutes. They would be called units because it's a different type of thing. But I would still be burned out because they also trained us to be like chiropractic assistants. We were doing all sorts of stuff. So everyone will have their limits. I will say that working out, like having like a strength training regimen did help me when I started out. Um, so it's kind of like being new to a sport. You learn your limits, you learn how often to work, and you learn how to manage what's going on. So for me, I managed by doing ice on my arms. I I have a really depressing video called 5 things I wish I learned about massage therapy. And I believe I'm like 6 months pregnant in this video. I don't think you can tell, but I'm pregnant in this video on YouTube where I talk about the things I wish I would have knew. And looking back at that video, I look so sad, like talking about um, just the ways I was burnt out and stuff previously. But yeah, so you'll learn your limits, and it's hard for me to tell you what your limits would be, but 28 is usually considered full time. I'm glad you like the live. And what I mentioned at the beginning of this video is that I'm considering doing just regular videos live because that will keep me accountable. I can get it done. I don't have to edit it, to be quite honest with you. I can practice speaking and making sure that, I'm getting to all the points without stumbling too much, making sure that information is clear and concise, and then the video is done and people can gain something from it. So I'm considering doing just only live videos. So we'll see how that goes. I do have videos on mobile massage. I saw that question earlier. It's kind of like a start to finish, everything that you need. I talk about some of the tools that you can use for it. I did start making like a reboot of that video, but more than likely it's going to be a live video. Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that you got called in for an interview because I filmed a video earlier today about how to ace your interview. And I also filmed a video about what to put on your resume. So maybe that'll be helpful for anyone else who is looking to interview. And yeah, it is good to set those boundaries and know what you stand for uh, and ask about those hours for sure. Okay. I'll answer one more question here. I'm seeing what are my thoughts on having a mobile business or what's my take on it? My take is that it's the smartest way to start your massage business. It's something that I've been teaching for a long time. It's how I started. I believe it's how I was able to scale quickly because my overhead isn't nearly as much as it is now. You have very little overhead when you're mobile. You just have to take safety precautions, have the right supplies. You got to stay prepared. You got to know your boundaries. You need to know that mile radius that you're going to, cover. And you will need to just be resilient because it can be a lot, especially if you're going upstairs and if you're traveling, people have tight spaces but something I will mention, and this is something I hope to put in the reboot of that video, is that there are so many different ways to have a mobile massage business. So I have a student, and she was a part of the very first cohort of SpaBizSuccess, and she started a mobile massage business that focused specifically on corporate wellness. And what I love about that business model is that now you're no longer B2C. You're not business to consumer. You are business to business when you operate that way. And we know that businesses have more people that you can service, and they have bigger budgets, and they have funding to pay you. So it's going to be consistent. Um, and yeah, so I just love that business model. We were able to get her contracts with particular communities and different businesses, and I'm really excited for her. And there's other ways you can do that too. So for a short period of time, I did spa parties, which I also talked about on the channel. Kind of my workflow for when I did spa parties. And you can do that with other businesses. So it's a really smart business model, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. But it's also not for everyone. I like not having to set up everywhere. I like coming to the space and everything's already set up for me. And I have a lot more control over my environment and all that good stuff. I'm not sure what you mean by is it possible to do short duration certifications courses? I know they do make courses that are that don't take too long to get through, but it depends on the course. Um like I have a certification course and it's 3 days, but it's also 18 hours of work. So I don't know if that's considered long or short. I can easily make one that's 24 hours long. It just depends. Um but I don't know if you're asking if I can do that. I'm not sure. Yes, event businesses are also very lucrative. When I did work at the spa that I was telling you all about previously, not the small business, but the bigger one, um, the bigger company, half. I mean, every now and then I would one of the employees, they owned like their own business. This was before I was even thinking about, owning a business. And he would ask me and some other employees to do like events with him. And that kind of gave me the idea later down the road to do events and to like do the spa parties and stuff. And it was really cool. I really liked the way he ran it. It was very like straight to the point, very professional, and a lot of people need it. So it's really cool. But sometimes it does require you to build that team of contractors or employees to help you get the party or event done. Yes. So the 3-day course that y'all are talking about, so that's the one that Selena was mentioning earlier. So I have a certification course in post-op manual lymphatic drainage. Enrollment is technically open. I was gonna get to all the different way, all that stuff a little bit later. But yeah, so it's a 3-day course. It's approved through the NBC TMB. It's also approved through the Florida Board of Massage. Now I'm getting it approved through the Florida Board of Nursing as well, because there are some techniques that kind of like tailor to that, but that's besides the point. It's 3 days, it's 18 hours. I've been doing it since 2023. I've been getting really good feedback. I have a 100% success rate so far, as according to my feedback. And I'm really passionate about that program because post op lymphatic drainage is the number one service that I do and I help my clients with. And it's really important, and we need a lot more. True professionals doing it, because there are some people who unfortunately do not have integrity when doing it or don't have the proper training. And I find that a lot of MLD courses don't go into the post-op aspect. They are doing VODR, they're doing traditional, and it's a little bit different for post-op. It's related and there's a lot of features of it, but it's not complete. So that should be in the description of this video. And if it's not, you can also message me on Instagram and also join the Instagram group that I was talking about earlier. So I want to spend a little bit of time kind of just talking about what's been going on in the business and then finish off with kind of what to expect from me moving forward. Because I know it's been a while since we've talked, especially if you're not following me on TikTok right now or on Instagram. I'm there pretty much every day. YouTube has been a little bit tricky, but I'm working to make sure that I can show up here more often, because something that I've been seeing lately is a lot of people closing their businesses. I'm seeing a lot of massage businesses close down on Instagram. I'm seeing a lot of just social media posts saying we're closed or we're closing or it's been a good run, and it generally makes me sad when I see that. Really, when I see any business do that. And I know that it's a personal decision and sometimes a logical decision, and it just makes me sad to see that. And I saw that a lot during COVID, and I want to figure out how I can make more of an impact and give back to this industry that has changed my life. This industry has it really changed my life, and I want to figure out how to like truly, truly give back in a major way. So that's just a part of my mission. I'll share a little bit more about my mission later and like some other things that you can expect from me or other things that I am working on that I really think that you're going to want to hear about. In terms of the business, because y'all know I like to share kind of behind the scenes of the business, and I do that a lot in that Instagram group. What does Instagram call it? They call it channels. I have an Instagram channel where I share like, okay, we made $10,000. This is where it came from. These are the screenshots. These are the services we did. Like, I try to share all that stuff. I share kind of like what we talk about in our meetings. What are the metrics that I'm looking at? How can you track these metrics? I try to like share things to help you all really think like a business owner and not like a solo practitioner, or like an employee. So even if I look at our previous month, it seems like every month the sales are going up. And I honestly think that's because we are doing a lot more on social media. So remember, I said that Google is our number one, and then there's Instagram. And then we've been kind of playing around with uh, micro influencer marketing, which means who we'll find someone who will come in and maybe they have like 5,000 followers on Instagram, but we got to make sure that they're local and they will share about their experience and like we'll give them a discount code that they can share with their audience so that people can use that discount code to book with us. I think another thing that we've been doing that has helped, I think really me closing down my availability has helped a lot because even though that technically means we have less appointments available, they're being booked with someone who is more available than I am at this time. Again, tomorrow I'll be back in the treatment room, but it'll be my first time back in the treatment room in about like 8, 9 days. So I'm really not there that often. And I'll do it that way. I'll have like longer days, but I'll be there less often because there's just a lot of stuff that I'm doing right now. So I think that's another thing that has helped. Um, what else? Training everyone on how to sell packages has helped. Every single week, I come up with some type of training topic. I'll put it in a Google Doc, and then everyone has to, well, not everyone, mostly front desk has to show that they read it, they understood it. Um, they're going to start implementing it. Sometimes there's like some type of exercise to do. So it could be like role play, selling this package to a new client who doesn't know anything about this service, that type of thing. And I think doing those trainings really help as well. So between March, April, and May, let's see, sales have increased by 52.9%. What is this? And I keep all of our metrics in a Google Doc as well. So let me tell you what I like to track. I will track the gross sales. I will track what's the opposite of gross sales? It's not the opposite, but it's, the net sales. I'll track the appointments booked. And then I'll track how many appointments that were booked were fulfilled, how many were canceled, were there any refunds? I will track the percentage change between the previous month. So did we have 20% more cancellations? Did we have 5% less cancellations? I will track how many Google reviews we got. Our goal every single month is 11. We haven't reached that goal yet, but on average, we might get 5. And then I'll track Instagram posts because our goal is 20 a month. Sometimes we reach it, sometimes we don't. And then we talk about why we did or did not meet that goal. And then I make a list of all of our different projects that we're working on. So an example of a project could be implement a inventory system. So that means we track, what's coming in, what's coming out, how many of this thing do we have, how many of that thing do we have, that type of thing. Another example of a project could be if we have a photo shoot or if we're trying to change the website or if we are trying to just do something different. So that's an example of how it happens. And so when I do my meetings, first we go over the business performance. So those are all the different things that we track. Then I'll go over project progress. So where are we with some of these projects that we're working on? Because we usually have deadlines for them. Then I'll go over anything that I think people need reminders about, whether that's policies, whether that is, and I'm looking at it right now so I can give you examples, whether that's like reminding to get deposits, whether that's letting them know we're about to do an MLD training. So we got to see who's on board with that, who's going to be our model, all that stuff, that type of thing. I like to do a check-in. So different people are in charge of different things, even the service providers. sometimes. So, for example, I have a service provider who is interested in waxing. I decided, okay, this is something you're passionate about. I will invest to like get the supplies for it, and we can start offering this service if you really think that this will take off. So that means that she is in charge of like kind of deciding like what are the services, how long are they, like that type of thing. So I like to give people different responsibilities because it creates like a better culture, and I don't have to do everything too. So that's another thing. So that's just a little behind the scenes of kind of what's been going on. I am still in nursing school. I know a lot of you know about that, and that's just to expand my scope. We did get approved to be a healthcare clinic. So in Florida, you have to have a massage establishment license. You got to have a salon license to do esthetician work. And then to do any type of like medical services, you do have to have a health clinic license. Y'all know that I have been transitioning the business kind of to like med spa services in addition to like what we already do because it aligns very well with our post-op spa. So that's just another kind of life update. And I will be done with school in about 56 days. I'm so glad that you enjoy the channel. I'm seeing all the kind comments. That's really sweet, Mildred. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. So I want to transition into kind of the last part of this training. I know I still have a few of you here and some of you are watching the replay. So, just to kind of share what to expect from me moving forward. So, because it's been very difficult to upload videos and stuff like that, I decided that I am going to go live more often, and that's going to be the video. So, there will be a topic. I'll get through the topic, and it'll really help me with my public speaking skills, and it'll help me be consistent with sharing these videos as well. So, that's something that I'll be doing. Um, The only thing is that YouTube doesn't always promote like live videos. They do prefer that you upload videos. So when you see those videos, please subscribe, please like them, please share them because it lets YouTube know that my content is worth something and it'll share it with other people too. And if it can be shared with more people, that means I can have more of an impact. And that's one of the things that bring me fulfillment is knowing that I'm impacting other body workers, especially the newer ones who are just starting and your students or your new grads. And that's just very, very exciting. The name of the Instagram group is called the Spapreneur. Oh, that's hard to say. Spapreneur Society. So that's what it's called. And it's free to join. Oh, okay. So that leads me to my next point. Okay, so what to expect from me moving forward? Let me stay on track. So, what I'm going to do is again the live videos. So that will um kind of help with making sure that content gets out on a regular basis. Um, Another thing, I had some notes here because I've been getting a lot of different questions. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so another thing that I'm bringing back is I am bringing back one-on-one calls. So the reason why I stopped one-on-one calls is because Y'all know as massage therapists, one session doesn't always address everything. Oftentimes, it's good to have a treatment plan, or it's good to have multiple sessions to really dig to the root of like a problem and to really see change happen. And I love before and afters. I love transformation. I love seeing people go from one way of thinking to another way of thinking. But I just found that one session sometimes isn't enough. So one thing that I'm doing is bringing back 90-minute calls, where you can schedule a time and do a 90-minute call or a 60-minute call. Of course, you're encouraged to continue with it or join a program or whatever is best for you. It really depends. It's not always the best for everyone. But those calls are going to be there so that I can answer specific questions and get you to a specific outcome within that call. Sometimes it does require, you doing things outside of that call. And then it's up to you if you want to follow up with me and let me know like what's going on and all that good stuff. But that is one thing that I'm bringing back. And so you should be seeing that soon. Um, yeah. So that's the one thing I wanted to share. Another thing I wanted to share is just like a goal of mine. So sometimes I am finicky to like share goals because you don't want to jinx anything, but I decided that I don't believe in jinxing. I don't believe in like that if you have a goal that anyone can take that from you, or I don't believe that anymore at all. And it's good to share goals because perhaps other people can support me in certain goals. But one of my goals that I have, and I don't know when it's going to happen or the best way to go about it, but one of the goals that I have is I do want to start a scholarship program for new grads, for massage students, and even for like seasoned massage therapists. So what this means is that a scholarship or even business grants that help people get started, and I want to help people like especially if they are entrepreneurial minded. So that is something that I am looking into and going to be getting some feedback on just the best most ethical way to go about it. Don't know a whole lot about scholarships, but it would really mean a lot to me to start that. Um, and help people. And even like if I think about myself, I started with $500. And even if I think about like how I started, like I've never shared this before. Maybe I have. I don't know. It's been a while since I shared like my story. But when I got my massage license, my friend who I've known most of my life, her mom actually paid for me to take my NBLEX. So she paid she paid for my NBLEX, and that meant so much to me because at that time, like I didn't know which way was up. Like I didn't know what was going to happen, like just graduated. I'm working at a gym. Like it was just a lot. And her mom and that still like touches my heart to this day, and so just to do that on a larger scale would be amazing. So I thought about, so I won't go into too much detail yet, but that is, I do want to have a scholarship for spa professionals to start their businesses, some type of grants. I'm always trying to share those grants with you all in the email list. When I do come across them, I need to look at this summer and see like which ones are coming up this summer and in the fall. But regardless, I want to have my own scholarship to help other massage therapists. So that's one of my goals. And yeah, let's see it happen. So I've said it here. What day is this? May 29th, 2025. You heard it here first. So thanks for staying this long if you stayed this long. I know this video is very, very long. We haven't talked in a long time. Okay. Yes. And yes, anyone is able to join that course. You just got to make sure that you're licensed to do massage and all that stuff. Um, referring to the MLD course. I saw something in the comments. But yeah, so putting that out there, and that will motivate me to just keep putting stuff out there and like not yeah, so just keep putting stuff out there, trying to make this impact. Um, okay. Another thing I want to talk about. Oh, okay. So another thing I want to talk about, there's just a few more things. On Instagram, today, actually, in my stories, I shared this project that I'm working on that I believe is going to help a lot of spa owners who either they want to start a spa or they already have started a spa. Essentially, what it is, in short, I've taken the uh, build and automate your system module that is in SpaBizSuccess that teaches you like pretty much all the systems I use, all that good stuff, all the automations I use, the entire client flow from start to finish, just everything. And I have taken that module and I've turned it into its own training, like its own set of trainings. And I think that that is going to help a lot of people because what if you're not ready to invest in like a full all-in-one program? Maybe you just want to get started with setting up your back end, seeing that it truly works, and going from there. So what I am doing, I am getting other people involved. I'm getting you all involved in improving it, naming it, and being a part of the beta of it. So I am doing a kind of like a founder's beta of that particular training where I'm taking whoever wants to participate, they are going to go through the program at a very small price. In fact, $200 less than what I'm selling it for, which is a very reasonable price considering the fact that I've been using this system for 5 years now with some small tweaks here and there. And so it's going to be a beta. Where I'm going to be talking about it is going to be in that Instagram group, so the Spapreneur Society. And so essentially, you just want to join that group if you are interested on just seeing me poll you and ask questions about what you would like to see inside of it, what would make it better, and if you want to be a part of the beta. So what I plan to do probably tomorrow, I'm going to send an email um, inviting people to join the beta or at least sign up or show interest in it. It's not quite ready for people to go through it yet. I have to make a few tweaks. But either way, essentially, you will go through it, give me feedback that will improve it, and then it's yours to keep. So hopefully that made sense. I'll explain it in an email and also in the group in the community on Instagram. So yes. So be on the lookout for that. I'm thinking of calling it the automated spa or the I don't know, there's a lot of different names that I could call it. But essentially the purpose of it is for you to build all the systems that I have from booking to follow up to getting automated reviews, all that stuff. Yeah. So that's that. Is there anything else? We talked about the MLD program, how that's open for enrollment right now on the website. The next class is in September. I am working on the in-person class, which will be at the end of the year, November. Still working on that. I want to make sure all the details are tight and correct if people are going to be traveling um, and all that stuff. So yeah. And absolutely, when it comes to the scholarship, anybody is going to be eligible for it. Just as long as you have plans to start and grow a business um, and be your own boss, I think that's really the only stipulation. I think that because that means a lot to me. Um, let's see. I would recommend being a licensed massage therapist. I'm not sure how they regulate that in India. I'm really not sure. But Um, I would recommend being licensed to do massage. I don't know if there's a governing body, And again, talking about the MLD course. So the MLD class is um, to me, it's the most ethical. If you are licensed to touch, you know, to like do body work, is what I consider to be the best. You could take it for the knowledge, but you wouldn't get the certification and you wouldn't be able to practice on other people. And the goal is that you are going to be adding it to your career. So it's up to you if you do want to take it and you're not licensed, you just could not practice. That's all. Yes, so I will be doing in-person classes in 2026. Not sure about the virtual or self-paced classes, but for sure in person because school will be over with and hopefully I will have a manager here and I can travel. I can do a little tour. Yes. So, okay, so that's clear. So, MLD class September, that's open right now as we speak. Let's see, and that's 18 hours of continuing education credits. I am offering the one-on-one calls again. So that's out there as well. You do not have to apply to do it. So that you should be seeing that soon. I am creating that new mini course, which is building your systems and automations. The goal is that you'll be able to complete it really in the shortest amount of time, less than 14 days, 7 days. You could even do it in a weekend depending on how much time you have. But that is another thing if you wanna be a part of the beta. Very, very inexpensive. I'll be sharing that more tomorrow in the group. And lastly, SpaBizSuccess is making a comeback. That's really the last thing I wanted to share. So SpaBizSuccess is making a comeback. That is the all-in-one program. That is where you get continuous coaching, Q&As, whether you're starting from scratch or you have a business, but perhaps you're breaking even, you're not able to um, build a full-time income off of whatever you're doing in your business right now. The goal is that you're able to make a full-time income without having to work full-time. So that is making a comeback and should be opening the doors in about 2 weeks now. I will be offering a free training, a free comprehensive training, just talking about like what exactly I'm like teaching people. So essentially like all the different frameworks in that training. Registration for that will open tomorrow. So that's something to keep in mind because you do have to register for that class. It's free. I try to keep it about like 40 minutes. At the end, you will be invited to join SpaBizSuccess. Um, I like to make that very clear. I don't like it when I join trainings and it seems like a secret that they have something to offer. But again, I'm trying to make an impact with as many people. So that is something that I'm offering. And we've been doing the program now for 3 going on 4 years. So I'm really happy to say that and I feel really just grateful to have the opportunity to work with so many just determined spa owners, people who I feel like are kind of similar to me. You want what you want it a certain way, and you just want to have your own avenue to do it. And you want to feel fulfilled doing it and not burnt out. So that's what it's all about. So again, registration for the free class opening tomorrow. The actual program will open in about 2 weeks. This has been a really fun Q&A. If you're watching the replay and if you watched all 1 hour and 39 minutes of this, just please comment something down below, like something. I have to know who watched all 1 hour, 39 minutes, who's been here since the beginning. I would love to know who you are. That means so much to me. Again, if you do enjoy content like this, like the channel. Um, Another thing, the very last thing that I'll mention here is, and I'll mention it in another video later. Um, I did in the description, in addition to like all the supplies that I use from Amazon, I did create an Amazon, kind of like an Amazon wish list. Um, I've never really done this on social media before, but if y'all watched my update video earlier this year, I did share how my house was kind of messed up with mold toxicity. It was messed up with um, the storm that came through. Just a lot. It basically had to be gutted and rebuilt, and is still being rebuilt. And so I haven't like been in my actual home since gotta be January of last year. So since then, just mostly staying with parents, with family, Airbnb. We're at an Airbnb right now. The first company that we went through to fix the issue didn't do a good job. We did like another like test to see if there was still like toxic mold, and apparently there was. And so I'm really grateful to be able to have the opportunity to be able to like be at Airbnbs or like stay with my parents, and like sometimes we go back and forth. It just depends. It looks like we'll be able to be back home in about a month. That's when we're supposed to be back home, but we have to kind of start over a little bit. Because when you go through that type of like mold poisoning, like all that stuff, you have to throw away things that are porous. So you have to get rid of mattresses, couches, just pretty much everything because of microtoxins, and it's a whole big thing that I had no idea about. Luckily, we're feeling a lot better. I did make a Amazon wish list. It's kind of just like, I know some people on YouTube, they'll put like Cash App for like tips or like, coffee or whatever. So that's kind of my version of it. It's kind of like a birthday slash graduation wish list. I wasn't sure if I should do it, but I thought, you know what? Why not? I'm going to send it to like friends and family. Why not put it here on YouTube for people who might like watch this, and maybe, they don't need some of the other ways that I help people, whether it's like a course or like a product, whatever. And maybe there's just another way they want to, say hi and all that good stuff. So that's something that I did. So it'll be, I don't think it's in the description right now, but it will be. And I know it's definitely on Instagram. My birthday is in June, and then graduation is in July. So yeah. So that's just a little bit of what's been going on. And I really, again, I appreciate all of you for staying here and watching all of this, and just all the different ways that you've been supportive and have made me feel just very accepted in this space. And yeah, that means so, 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 so much. All right. So again, comment if you're watching the replay, comment if you watched all the way. And we will be doing this again soon. It felt so amazing to talk to y'all again. And we will be chatting soon. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, great rest of their night, and we'll talk soon. Bye.